Suddenly she had taken us back only a short time, only 40 years, and to Nazi Germany, to a time when, as a teenage girl, the terror had struck her family.
Can you remember very, very clearly where you were born?
Großstadt. In the Stadt of Father's shop.
What town's that in? What city?
Düsseldorf.
And what was your name in that life?
Dorothy Hellman.
And what was your father's name in that life?
Joseph Hellman.
Your mother's name?
Sarah Hellman. Wouldn't let us help her. She just died. She just died in the dirt and they wouldn't let us help her.
You're coming away from that. You're coming away from that.
The depth of Jenny's emotion was all too apparent. In what she was saying, there was all the horror of the Holocaust. We were all affected by it. It took a little while for Peter Ramster to quieten her again, to be sure she was deep in trance. And then we looked for a way back into some less harrowing part of that past life. Jenny had said she had lived in Düsseldorf, located a tourist map of the city. She was told that, still in trance, she would be able to see and read the map clearly and point out to us exactly where her family's house and shop had stood.
Once you're deep enough to stay in trance, I want you just to open your eyes and look at the map and tell me where you live.
Großstadt, Thrain, Reinhardt Square, Reinhardt, School, Puppet Shop.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let yourself relax. Let yourself relax. Let yourself relax. After I wake you up, you're going to remember that map very clearly. Everything you showed me, you'll remember very clearly. Where you lived on the map, you'll remember very clearly. You remember it awake as well as you do asleep. So I wake you up, I want you to show me on the map where it was that you lived. Waking up 1, waking up 2, 3. How do you feel? Alright? Do you remember that? Okay, show me on the map.
Can't see. I've got your glasses on.
Can't see because you haven't got your glasses on. Just hang on a second, we'll leave your glasses. Where's the glasses?
Over there. Here.
Tremendous. Can you remember when you were under trance, when you looked at the map?
Mm-hmm.
Could you see it clearly?
Mm-hmm.
Right, you could. Under trance, you could see it clearly without your glasses. When we woke you up, we had to give you the glasses.
Oh, stupid eyes work after all.
Weeks later, in Düsseldorf, John Abbott joined us as our independent witness.
But the train's not there. It's all changed.
Most surely it had changed. faith of World War II had bitten deeply into Düsseldorf. When the scars had healed, the body of the city carried a different shape. 2/3 of it had been ravaged and rebuilt. But in Jenny's mind, Dorothy Hellman felt she was where she had lived as a teenager when the terror struck her family.
Yes, that was where the shop was. That's where it was. Should be a twin. Down there, hospitals up there. Just all houses, this was all cobbled. There was just a narrow street path in there. There were houses and that went round into the circle.
The circle may once have been there, but nothing else matched. Not even the recollections of an old neighbour who'd lived there for half a century and remembered no Hellmans in that street. The following day saw the search for the hospital of which Jenny had spoken, in trance and on the spot.
1937. And about the only thing I could suggest is what would happen if you took it on into this area, the hospital area, put it on the ground and see what happens next.
And that's what we did that afternoon. This time we led Jenny to the place where that 1937 map showed there had been a hospital. And there was still hesitation, still some doubt. The big door with the decorated stone lintel didn't seem to be there.
The door wasn't on a corner like that, it was on a place. Was that a door?
Could have been.
The stone was all these blocks. And the door, we had a big heavy top part to it, and it had the two bits all down the side.
You went too far on, there have been some changes. Let's see if you can get anything out of that.
Oh yes, there. There's the door, that's the main entrance. I didn't believe it was there, but it was all wrong.
Not knowing the changes the years had brought, she had described the doorway exactly.
Some of the things you said they did work out, I thought. Now, the area, the street that you took us to was heavily populated by Jewish families. Substantial, middle-class Jewish families. They were all rounded up in 1937 in November and taken away and taken across to the other side of the Rhine to a place called Oberkassel. Now, you did describe under trance in Australia being taken away first to what you call the village for Jews. And you called it something like Alstadt or Alstadt. Well, to get out to Oberkassel, you go through Alstadt, which means Old City.
Will MacDonald, in the relaxed atmosphere of Peter Ramster's rooms in Sydney, gives no outward impression of wild imaginings. She's a very down-to-earth woman, untravelled, and with little knowledge of life in England, even modern life there. Producer Brian Morris joined our on-camera team in the search for Gwen's past. Guided by the recordings of her memories under hypnosis, we tried first to locate the general area she'd talked about.
Have you heard of Glastonbury?
Glaston.
What about Taunton?
The markets of Taunton.
What are the other villages around your area so we can find you?
Oh, Alfred. Maybe Blawton. Maybe Stone Chapel.
Interesting names, but not there, not on the most modern and large-scale maps. So, to old ones, and older, and back to the 18th century ones. And suddenly the names began to leap out at us. Alford was there. Stone became Stone Chapel. And there was Hornblotton, very close to the way she pronounced it. Now it was a matter of getting closer. Gwen's taped voice guiding our search was different somehow. Not the way she usually spoke. It was slower, accented. And there was an odd word she used.
A cottage.
Could you describe it for me?
Small. Not big. A big thatch roof. A big room down. And talent.
A talent? What was a talent? No one in Australia seemed to know, and we couldn't find a reference book or a major dictionary with the answer. It went on puzzling us.
A drying room. And a back.
Actually, that wasn't on there.
In England, we looked at cottages and houses all across and about the part of Somerset so clear in Gwen's mind, and none of them fitted her description. But she was remembering across a 2-century gap, and things had changed. She was deep in some other life.
What was your name?
Mary Duncan, but they call me Rose. English Rose, they said.
Tell me about your mother. What's your mother's name?
Consistently, the old books and register showed she was right, even to her use of that strange and long obsolete word, talent.
The talent you were asking about.
Really?
West Somerset word book. Hayloft over a stable.
Of course.
Does that stand somewhere? What you're looking for?
Well, that seemed to have solved part of one problem, and we took the rest to an expert, who was later to act as our witness.
It was Blotton or Bloughton, and later on became Hornblotton. So we're pretty convinced now that the Bloughton she talks about is Hornblotton.
Well, this is interesting because, in fact, the older form of Hornblotton had an owl sound in it, so that it looks as if she is hitting on an older form, which has now been corrupted to Hornblotton. So that's very satisfactory.
But I'm convinced that there's something in it. So what we're going to do
Now to find where Gwen, as Rose Duncan, had lived, and to take that independent witness with us. Dr. Basil Cottle is reader in medieval studies in the English department of Bristol University, and he agreed with us that we should make another blindfold test. We took Gwen into the wide general area she'd described under hypnosis in Australia. Below a waterfall, the fork in the stream was there, just as she had said it would be. And she was off, moving with the purpose of someone who knows where she is and where to go. She led us unerringly now across fields and through nettle hedges in a beeline for a place we couldn't see. It was afternoon, and Rose Duncan was on familiar ground, home ground. Then she led us around to what is now the back of the cottage.
My God. Oh my God.
And once again, we saw the now familiar reaction of tears as the shock hit home.
Well, when we arrived there, Gwen showed signs of distinct emotion, which might be convincing but need not be. What convinces me much more is that she did give beforehand a quite reasonable plan, as it were, of what it was going to look like. She showed us a pent roof and windows in approximately the right places, and the place, as a place 200 years old, is fairly convincing. One of the things that convinced me most was her pronunciation of Hornblotton as Blorton, but I happen to know that that is the form of pronunciation, and I happen to believe that Gwen probably didn't have access to the fact that it was the form of pronunciation. I don't think either she or any informants in Australia could have told her that. But there's one word that she has used which could be a crucial proof that she is really repeating something heard in a previous existence, and that is the obsolete West Country word of talent for a loft. So I think what remains now is for us to clean up the floor of this chicken house, which belongs to Jason's father here, and then we shall see if the markings tally with the markings which Gwen remembered on stones brought into here by her friend Mr. Brown.
The thick stone square and spiral circle-like, and
There's a spiral circle on the stone.
aye, in corner on right side, and funny writing, like cut in rock, cut in stone.
To open your eyes and to stay, to remain in trance. I want you just to open your eyes, take the pen off me, and draw.
Now, this was something quite gripping. The markings she made were not writing, not anything formal. And that meant that if Gwen, under hypnosis, could see those strange and unique markings, and if we could find her stone, then we could either disprove her story or prove it solidly. The farmer's family watched unbelievingly, and their look said at least 1,000,000 to 1. There didn't at first seem to be any sign of Gwen's markings on the wet stone. We dried it and brushed it with talcum powder.
Seems like the top of Scotland coming out.
Yes, it is too.
See?
Yes. Yes, it's coming out.
Yeah, yeah, see all these little curves and ridges.
Do you recognise anything else there?
Spiral, looks like a spiral.
The original art was drawn in Sydney.
Oh, right, it is close. You've got your thing graphs there, you've got a little squiggle there, you've got a little squiggle there, you've got that curving around there, you've got that curving around there.
This is the way the stone looked to us and our camera. Let's make the markings as clear to you now as they seemed to us then on that day in that dark old shed. The stone and the drawing done in Sydney, however long those 1,000,000 to 1 odds seemed, the effect on Farmer Dennis Simmons and his family was unmistakable.
Unbelievable.
Did you mention it to anybody?
No, we didn't say anything because you were mad. Are we still mad? No. Explain reincarnation by saying that it is fantasy or genetic memory or something that they've read in a book. I don't believe it's fantasy because, for a start, the film deals in fact, not fantasy. It can't be genetic memory because people don't go down the same genetic line as their own ancestry. And as far as books are concerned, well, people could have read some of it in books, but I don't believe they could have read all the information that this film has brought out.
Okay, you watched the documentary prepared by Peter Ramster about 4 of his cases. This was excerpts basically of that full documentary. The full documentary is 3 times longer than this. I just showed the key features of this documentary and important parts of it. I think it's time for a break. We'll have a 10 minutes break and we'll be back shortly. Thank you.